In this video, we are going to learn about a governor limit and a limit classes in Salesforce Apex. So what is mean by governor limit? So if you want to understand governor limit, first let's understand what is mean by multi-tenant architecture. It is really important to understand multi-tenant architecture because that's how Salesforce is basically designed, right? The Salesforce Cloud CRM is basically designed on multi-tenant architecture. Let's compare this multi-tenant architecture with a real-time example. In this screen, basically, you are seeing a apartment, right, in the presentation. Let's imagine the apartment has a common pool. The apartment has a common water tank. The apartment has a lift system. So these are the some of the resources used by the tenants, who lives generally in the apartment, right? So the difficult challenge will be sharing these resources equally among everyone so that there is no complaint from the tenants. For that, the apartment owners or the apartment, management committee generally will have a monitoring system so that each and every tenant who lives in this apartment gets the resources equally. For example, you have a common water tank in the sense if apartment 101, there is a apartment called 101. So if that person is going to who lives in that particular house is consuming entire water, then other tenants may be running out of water, right? So it is really required somewhat to ensure that each and everyone is consuming the resources equally. So that particular concept is generally, achieved. Similar concept is generally achieved in Salesforce with the help of governor limits. When we are discussing about, resources in a multi-tenant system, similarly, you can, apply the same example in Salesforce also. In Salesforce also, we will be having a lot of resources. Salesforce is basically a cloud-based CRM, right? The resources which is available in the cloud are equally distributed among different orgs inside the cloud. Basically, the resources are, for example, you have a memory, right? Even though we call it as it's a cloud also will have a memory, right? Cloud system also will have a memory. So suppose the memory is entirely consumed by a single organization, then it's very difficult for the other organization to store the data. So you have to ensure that there should be a system so that the system making sure that each and every organization is getting their allotted memory. No one is monopolizing the resources. So you have to ensure this. This can be ensured in Salesforce with the help of governor limits. So governor limits in Salesforce ensuring that each and every organization is getting enough CPU time to run the piece of code. It is getting enough memory to process the operations. It is getting enough database operations so that the data can be stored, manipulated, and retrieved. So all these things are, governed by some set of limits. So that is generally called as governor limits in Salesforce. When we are discussing about governor limits in Salesforce, this governor limits, can be classified majorly into two types. One is the transaction limit, and another one is called the platform limit. What is in the transaction limit? For example, you are trying to manipulate the data, you are trying to insert, or you're trying to update, you're trying to delete. So this is generally called as transaction, right? The database transaction. This database transaction, has a limit in Salesforce. For example, you are trying to update records. How many times I can use the insert statement? How many times I can use the update statement? That is generally called as a transactional limit, right? So I have used one more word called a single transaction. Single transaction means imagine you have a button. Imagine you have a button in your user interface. So when you click the button, behind the scene, an Apex code might be running. Behind the scene, an Apex code might be running. So when the user clicks the button, it executes an Apex code, the Apex code completed, and then the program comes to an end. The program stops. So this particular execution is generally called as a transaction. This is a single transaction. Start, immediately a code is called. automations are going to happen or some kind of code is being executed, then the program stops after executing all the lines in the Apex code. This is called as a single transaction. In this single transaction, what is the limit you have? For example, DML, you are allowed to consume 150 DML statements. 150 times you can do insert, update, delete, for example. If you're trying to do 151, the code will break. The Salesforce will throw a governor limit exception. I hope you guys now, clear with what is mean by, governor limit. Similarly, the number of records that can be queried. Let's say you're trying to fetch all the records from your account object. Your account object may have 60,000 records. Now, if you're going to run this piece of code, the code will break because we have a governor limit related to the number of records that can be fetched. As of now, it is 50,000. So your SOQL can return maximum 50,000 record in a single transaction in a synchronous way. So suppose if we are going to have more than 50,000 record, then it is your responsibility in your Apex code to making sure that only 50,000 records are being retrieved. If your SOQL is going to retrieve more than 50,000, then the code will break. So this is what some of the example for transactional limit. We have a platform limits also in place in Salesforce. The number of email that can be sent in a single day. Let's say you are trying to communicate with a third-party system when an opportunity was converted. Your third-party system is a ERP software which manages the order processing. Now Salesforce should communicate with the third-party system. That is generally called as call-out. So how many call-outs can be done in a single day? We have a limit for that also. So these are all the called platform limits. So the reason for having the platform limits is that's the reason it is supporting multi-tenant architecture. It is ensuring that each and every organization is getting enough resources. None of the resources are being monopolized. Okay. So I told that whenever there is a limit reached, Salesforce will throw a exception. That exception is called limit exception. Immediately you might be asking a question. If any exception is raised in the program, in Apex, generally we will be using a try-catch block. Can I use a try-catch block to catch the limit exception? No, you cannot. That's really a key point. You cannot use a try-catch block. Then how I can manage it? You can check at runtime how many is actually allowed. What is the allowed limit? How much of my program consumed so far? You can use these figures to figure it out whether to continue with the DML transaction or whether to continue with the SOQL. You can take a call in your Apex code based on these figures. To give you these figures, we have a class called limit class. This limit class will help you to identify how much consumed, how much is allowed. This is a simple example in your screen. You are seeing some of the simple examples for governor limits. For example, DML statements, 150 DML statements allowed in a single transaction. If you are going to execute more than 150, the code will break. Governor limit exception will be thrown. Number of records created or updated. 10,000. Let's say you're trying to update a list of account records. The list can have maximum of 10,000. If you have more than 10,000, then the code will break, governor limit will hit. So similarly, the number of SOQL queries that can be returned. In a single transaction, you can write SOQLs 100 times. 100 times a SOQL can execute. More than that, the code will break. Similarly, how long the code can run. For example, 10,000 milliseconds is allowed. That's what the CPU time. If your code is running beyond that, then Salesforce will stop the code from continuously executing by introducing the limit exception. So I have, included the complete entire governor limit documentation in the presentation. Please do check it out. Go and visit the official documentation for the list of governor limits. It will help you to design an Apex code so that it is not hitting the governor limit at runtime. Now let's discuss about the limit class. So limit class is a built-in class which is available inside Salesforce, which has a couple of methods that will help you to decide at runtime whether your code has a possibility of hitting the governor limit or not. For example, let me discuss with a couple of methods. One such method is get limit queries. Get limit queries is a method which will give you how many SOQL queries you can run in a single transaction. Let's say, for example, 100 SOQL queries are allowed. So this method will give you a integer value, which is 100. What is in by 100? 100 SOQL queries can be executed in a single transaction. Let's say I have written two SOQLs. Then the limit queries, right? There is a limit.get queries. This particular method will return me how much I have consumed. Now I can take a call whether I should continue or not. Suppose if limit.get queries is giving me 100, then I should ensure that there are no SOQLs going to be executed further in my Apex code. So in that way, you can take advantage of the limit classes to stop from hitting the limit exceptions at runtime. Let me take you guys to the developer console so that we can see these limit exceptions and how to apply the limit classes. So let me write a simple method here in this Apex class. So public static void do test. Let's say for example, give me the method name do test limit. Okay, let me write a method like this. And I'm going to write a simple, SOQL here. ACC is equal to, let's say, for example, select name from account. And similarly, I'm going to write one more SOQL, contact CON is equal to select last name, right? In the contact object, we have last name from contact. Okay, I'm done here. That's it. So now I need to execute this. So if you look at this particular method, there is only one method. If I'm going to call this method will execute from line number 5 and it will stop at line number 9. This is a single transaction. So how to execute this method? Since it's a static method, you can take advantage of class name, a dot, and then method name. I'm going to call the method. So I'm going to execute. The code will execute. All right. So it is saying that, okay, do test limit, right? Do test limit. Let me try to execute. Okay. Okay. So the SOQL is going to return more than one row. So I need to stop that. This is not a limit exception. So I'm going to use limit because on the left side, I'm using a S object, right? So I'm going to use limit one here and let me save. Now try to execute this piece of code. Once it is saved, it is done. Let me execute. The code is executed. I'm going for debug only, right? There is no issues. So the code successfully ran. Actually, being a developer, it is the responsibility of a developer to understand each and every code, how much, governor limit actually it consumed. So we can get this analysis by checking the debug log. Let me open the latest debug log. I'm opening the debug log. If you come down, there you can see this governor limit numbers. This is generally called as the magical numbers. See here, we have a magical numbers here. Look at here. What is the number of SOQL queries allowed? 100 allowed. How much we have consumed? 2, because we wrote 2 SOQLs. The program can store 50,000 records. How much we have queried? We have queried 50,000 records can be fetched. How much we have fetched? We have fetched 2. Similarly, we have the magical number and how much it is consumed in this list. All right. So it is our responsibility after writing an Apex code. Please do this check. Open your debug log, go and visit whether your code is really good enough. Let's say, for example, it is generally allowed to consume 75%. If your code is going to consume more than 70% of the limit allowed, then in future, at any point of time, it may hit the governor limit. So it is really important to do a after analysis. After writing the code, it is important to do the analysis. After doing the analysis, it's really important to take a governor limit exception inside your Apex code. Okay, so as of now, I'm seeing the limit exceptions, governor limits allowed, and how much consumed from the developer console log, right? It will not going to help an Apex class to decide whether my code is going to hit a governor limit or not. For that, we can use limit classes. Before that, let's play around by simulating, by generating a limit exception. Since I don't have enough records in my org, I'm going to simulate a limit exception by writing a piece of code. But don't try in your companies or don't try this in real time because this is not a best practice. I'm just going to simulate or just I'm going to generate limit exception for our learning purpose. To do that, let me try to create a simple variable. I'm going to declare a variable called I. I'm going to write a simple for loop. For I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 120. Let me write like this, and I plus plus, I plus plus. Okay, this is a simple for loop. So inside the for loop, first I'm going to do a debug statement. I'm going to print system.debug I, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a SOQL here. Let's say, for example, list account. I'm going to write a code. Account list is equal to, and I'm going to write like this, select a name from account. This is basically simple SOQL. But the point here is this SOQL is written inside a for loop. You might have learned it is not a good practice to write a SOQL inside the for loop. Why? Because this may hit governor limit. Since I'm going to simulate, I'm going to generate, limit exception for learning purpose. I have written this SOQL inside the for loop. Please don't do this in your real-time, implementations. So now already we have consumed two SOQLs here, right? Line number 5, we have consumed one SOQL. Line number 6, we have consumed another SOQL. Two SOQLs are consumed. So each and every iteration of this for loop, this SOQL is going to consumed, right? So first time when I is equal to 1, the SOQL will get executed and the count will become 3 because already we have executed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At some point of time, the allowed limit is 100, right? The allowed limit is 100. At some point of time, it will go beyond that 100, right? Because this for loop is going to execute 120 times. Inside that for loop, we have a SOQL. So each and every execution of this for loop will try to execute this, SOQL, right? So it will try to count against the governor limit. At some point of time, it will hit the allowed limit of, 100. It will try to pass 100 and 100, that is 101. Once it reaches 101 execution, the governor limit will hit. So let me try to save this piece of code and let's test this. Let me try to execute. Let me try to execute. Now the limit exception is generated. See here, system.limit exception. It is a system exception. System.limit exception. The reason, too many SOQL queries 101. So the meaning is you are allowed to execute 100 SOQL queries in a single transaction. But now you are trying to execute more than 100. So immediately the Salesforce will stop this piece of code. The code will break here. Let me try to click OK. Yes, the system generated a limit exception. Open this debug log and check what is the I value I have, reached until 99, right? Let's say inside this for loop, we are printing I. So this for loop actually executed 99 times. When when it reaches 99, it is trying to hit this, it is trying to execute this SOQL. Already we have 2, so 99 plus 2, 101. Maximum allowed is 100. We are hitting the governor limit, right? So can I, use a try catch to, to stop this? Can I use a try catch to avoid this governor limit exception? No, you cannot use a try catch, right? You cannot use it because it's a platform, limit, right? It's a transaction limit. Actually, it is generated from the system. So, it is trying to safeguard monopolizing the resources. So now we reach the governor limit, the code is breaking. Whatever the code you are going to write after this for loop, definitely that will not be executed because in line number 12, we got the limit exception. So how to avoid this limit exception? For example, if you want to avoid the limit exception, then you can take advantage of limit classes. That's what I told. All right. So generally, limit classes have methods. First, let's me, to understand it better, let me give 60 here. I'm going to execute 60 times. After that, I'm going to use a limit class method, system.debug. In the limit class, we have a method called get limit queries. Get limit queries. This particular method will give you what is the, allowed SOQL. Allowed SOQL queries. How many SOQLs you can execute in a single transaction. And the next is how much I have consumed, my code has consumed. So for that, you can, remove the limit word from here. This is another method. So you have two methods. One is get limit queries that will return the number of sockets allowed in each and every transaction. And then limit queries. This method will give you the number of sockets consumed so far. So let me try to fix this problem. Variable does not exist. It's limits, not limit, it's limits. Let me save this piece of code. And then now let me try to execute and understand what we got in line number 15 and 16. I'm going to execute this. In 15 and 16, let me go here. In 15, I'm getting a number called 100. In 16, I'm getting a number called 62. So 100 means this is what the total number of queries allowed. Total number of queries allowed is 100. How much I have consumed? 62. Because this loop will execute 60 times. Outside the loop, we have two sockets, right? So 60 plus 2, 62 sockets we have consumed so far. We can use this method, to avoid hitting the governor limit. How we can do that? Let's say, for example, I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to write a condition here. If a limits dot get queries, that is total consumed. How much consumed so far? Before executing this SOQL, I'm trying to check this condition. If limits dot get queries less than actually allowed, okay, actually allowed. So if my, so far what I have consumed is less than the allowed, then I will go ahead. Otherwise, what I will do is I'm going to use an else part. Otherwise, I'm going to break this. Otherwise, I'm going to break this. Now, what will happen? Let's say, for example, I'm making it into 120. Let's change it back to 120. So this code will try to execute, or this loop will try to execute 120 times. So once we reached 101, right? When we reached 101, definitely this is going to return like this. Already executed, 100 SOQL queries we have executed. And what is the maximum allowed? Maximum allowed is 100, right? So if you are, reaches the limit 100 less than 100, no, it will come to the else part and it will break, it will comes out. In this way, this particular piece of code will avoid hitting the governor limit with the help of limit class. So what we have consumed so far, whether it is in the limit or not. If it is beyond the limit, go ahead and come out of this for loop. So the code will come out of the for loop so that there will not be any more execution of the SOQL. In this way, you can take advantage of limit classes. Now let's try. We are still trying to execute this loop 120 times. Let's see that whether the code is, breaking or not. Let me save this. So I have saved this piece of code and I'm going to execute this. Execute. The code is executed. There is no exception, right? There is no exception. If you look at here, go to the log, there is no exception. The status is success. Let's check the debug only. If you look at the debug only, 100, 100. Maximum allowed is 100. How much your code also executed? Your code also executed 100 sockets. And after that, did it try to execute 101 time? No, because this condition fails, it breaks. So in this way, you can use limit classes and its method in your Apex class to avoid hitting the governor limit at a runtime. So similarly, we have a lot of methods here. We have, limit query rows, right? How many records is retrieved? How many records can be retrieved? How many records actually, used by your system or your Apex code? Get limit DML rows. What is the how many DML statements? 150 DML statements. This will give you that number. Get DML rows. How many DML statements your Apex code completed so far? Let's say if I already completed 10 DML rows, then 10 DML rows. I have tried to update. Right? It is not basically the number of DML statements. It is DML rows. DML rows means 10,000. Maximum allowed is 10,000. How much I'm trying to update, insert or update. Get limit DML statements. So this is what 150. Okay. 150 DML statements you are allowed to execute in a single transaction. how much DML statements your Apex code so far executed. You have already tried to execute 5 DML statements, then this will give you 5, and this method will give you 150. So you can use this the way we have used in the Apex code. You can compare and you can write your Apex piece of code so that it will not hit the governor limit at runtime. So I hope you have got the clear clarity on what is mean by governor limit and how to use the limit classes in Apex so that we can avoid hitting the governor limit at runtime.
If you are interested to learn Salesforce, visit AJ Skill Development website. There you can find our course curriculum and you can come to know about the list of courses we are offering. We are offering Salesforce Administrator and Salesforce Development courses. To know about us and the team, you can visit our About Us section. This is an organization we are doing Salesforce training from 2018, and we have trained and guided 2000 plus candidates so far. And if you also want to know about our placement assistance, visit our placement assistance section where you can find the list of people and the category. You can see the list of people who got trained and placed from our side. You can also visit their LinkedIn pages to get to know about our training and also the feedback from the relevant trainees. Okay. And also, if you want to do the course inquiry, click on contact us. You will see the form. You can fill the form and submit the inquiry. Our team will get back to us. Thank you.